how important is culture? I mean, don't we have, sales to do and additions to build and, people to hire? But now that it's been implemented and really fine-tuned, I brag about our culture. I totally get it. It's all the difference in the world. If you don't have the culture in your company, it's really hard to grow.
Hi, everybody. My name is Eric Tilghman, the CEO of Tilghman Builders. This is our very first podcast. It took us a long time to get here. We're happy to be here. And when I was thinking about the first guest to invite onto the podcast, I couldn't go much further other than our CFO, our founder, the entire reason that any of this could be possible, my dad, Bob Tilghman. Welcome to the podcast, Dad.
Thanks, Eric. Hello, everybody.
So first off, I've been calling you Bob at work for probably 15 years now.
Yeah, about that.
So let's just start there. How is it having your son call you Bob as much as I do?
Well, it took a little getting used to, but I'm fine with it now. And when we're at family events, I usually get Dad. So
Right. Yeah. How's Mom feel about me calling her Joanne?
She probably likes it less than I like
Right.
you calling you Bob.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah. And I get that sense. All right. So, well, on this, I'll try to call you Dad. We'll see how it goes. So company culture is obviously a passion of mine, but I can understand, sort of a construction dinosaur such as yourself. You've been in this game a long time, and the industry has changed quite a bit. It may feel like, I don't know, culture may feel like millennial mystical nonsense. So tell me what culture means to you.
Well, I didn't really know what culture was.
Okay.
Until you started talking about it and started, turning me on to some things like Simon Sinek.
Mm-hmm.
And you really pretty much showed me what culture was. Prior to that, I don't think we really had a culture.
Right. Okay.
I mean, we had values, obviously, but not really what you would call a culture.
Yeah. Okay. So how has your opinion of culture changed? I kind of came in out of the field and was kind of banging that drum hard from the beginning, and I know that was probably our biggest challenge as we started working more closely together. How has your opinion of culture changed since then?
Well, it's changed. It's done a 180 because when you first started talking about it, yeah, I was like, what is this? How important is culture? I mean, don't we have, sales to do and additions to build and, people to hire? But now that it's been implemented and really fine-tuned, I brag about our culture. I totally get it.
I know you do.
It's all the difference in the world. If you don't have the culture in your company, it's really hard to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been fun watching you turn around on that. But in the beginning, it was kind of like, okay, here he goes again, but there's work to be done. So, maybe later,
Yeah.
And so, all right, good. So what made you want to start a construction company back in 1982?
Yeah, well, ever since I was a kid, I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I always wanted to make my own way, make my own money. I was a paper boy. I was working at a gas station. And then I started, just doing like little projects. I would build like furniture because I learned to do that in shop class, and my father used to do it as a hobby. So he taught me a lot of things. So I kind of started just building furniture. And then, I started doing little side jobs and things like that. And eventually got to the point where if I didn't go into business full time, then I was going to lose this big project that was on the horizon. So, it was December, going into winter. We just bought our first house, just had our first child. She was almost, I guess, 5 or 6 months old. No, she was only 4 months old. That's right. And then we decided to just go into business. I
Okay.
was 21 years old and didn't know anything,
All just to get this job.
all just to get this job. Yeah.
Do you remember the name of the client?
Yeah. Steve Silverman. Yep.
All right.
And he always said that he was the reason that I went into business, and he's kind of right.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Did you think back then, you wanted to land the Steve Silverman job, but did your vision go as far as all this that we have today?
No. I never would have thought that we'd be here. I always figured that, the company would grow and, I would take on employees eventually, which of course I did. And maybe I would come out of the field at some point, which I did, but I never envisioned that we would be where we are today.
Cool. So in the first few years, it must have been you working alone, or for at least, well, maybe not. Maybe the Steve Silverman job was big enough. I know my Uncle Doug, your brother, worked for the company for a while, and some other guys. What was the culture like back then? Back in the 80s, you guys were wearing short shorts.
What culture?
Okay. Yeah. Was it had to have been kind of a war zone.
Well, it wasn't a war zone, but it was a construction site. And,
Right.
we were construction guys. So we were, we acted like construction guys. There wasn't a lot of kindness going on or
Sure.
complimenting. And it was more like just kind of get the job done any
Yeah.
way you could get it done
Yeah.
and do it right.
Okay. Good.
The craftsmanship aspect, that was always there. That was imperative.
Yeah. Sure.
But that doesn't make a company.
Yeah. Yeah. In those early days, there probably weren't performance reviews in the company.
No.
Got it.
Well, your mother would give me a performance review once in a
Right.
while.
Yeah. She still does.
She still does, yes.
Yeah. She gives you my performance reviews too. All right, cool. So it's not uncommon for a family business to fail once it hits the second generation. Okay, that's been, you've kind of been giving me that stat my entire upbringing, right?
Yeah, I kind of have, and I do recall doing that, on a number of occasions, letting you know that, most second generation businesses don't make it.
Right.
And that's just what I had heard, talking to different people. I knew a lot of business owners as I was, growing my business. And that's what I'd heard. And I felt the need to pass it on to my second generation.
And you did.
I know. And it probably was quite a burden to bear.
It's okay. I think it shaped who I am today and the way that I treat the business. I had to have had you nervous along the way. I mean, it was like, I've been working in this company since I was 13. You made me get a summer job.
Yeah.
And I remember asking you on the way to the job site. I was nervous, and you said, "Look, just whatever you do, don't stand still. Just keep moving. Do whatever they tell you to do, and then when you're not doing something, pick up a broom and do that."
Right.
And then I got older and became more of a teenager and maybe perhaps more of a punk. What were there points along the way where I don't know, you didn't really see me in it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yep. There were times where, your mother too, there were many times where your mom would say, I just don't think Eric's ever going to be able to take this business over. He just doesn't have what it takes. He doesn't care about his finances and all
Right.
these kinds of things because you were young,
Yeah.
And then when you were working in the field, you were living at home at the time and you would be sleeping late. And I know you were going to get to work late. And at one point, I was on my way to the office and you were still in bed and I knew it. And you were going to be late. And I called the lead carpenter for that job. And I said to him, when Eric gets there, send him home and tell him he's late. And so he did. And it happened, I don't know, maybe one or two more times. And you got fired.
I sure did.
Yep. And I think, I don't know, you can speak for yourself, but it seemed like it may have helped you in
Yeah,
the long run.
it did. It definitely did. I mean, in the short term, I was still just a young kid. You know, I had basically been asked to leave college after 2 years. Came back. Well, actually, and then was living at home, working back for Dad. And I think I was just wrestling with the real world and not sure of my place or my passion. I was far from any sort of passion back then. I always liked being a carpenter, but I had my priorities mixed up. So yeah, you letting me go. I worked elsewhere for 3 years, and I think that was an important thing that happened in my childhood.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me like when you went and worked for that other contractor, it was 3 years, right?
3 years, yeah.
I think it really kind of shaped you, taught you a lot of things. And when you did come back to Tilghman Builders, I mean, you brought a lot with you that you learned working for somebody else. It was really valuable.
Yeah. Well, it was nice to come back, and I remember when you asked me to come back, I was driving you to the golf course. It was like a golf outing, I guess, and for some reason I gave you a ride, and you asked me to come back, and it was an easy yes. You know, I think it was time. So what values or lessons? What values or lessons were you intentionally trying to pass down to me? Like I have 3 kids now, and the 2 oldest are boys, and I am intentional about what I say to them and what I tell them is important in life and things like that. What were some things that you were trying to pass down to me that you feel stuck with me and are now they worked?
When we were raising you, I think the things that and your mother and I were usually on the same page as far as how we wanted to raise our kids. But it was all about being honest, always telling the truth, and integrity, doing what you say you're going to do, showing up on time, not being lazy. That was a big one, and working hard. I always worked hard. My father always worked hard. It was kind of instilled in me. I enjoyed that. And I wanted my kids to have that too, because I think it's really beneficial, not only because it's good for your work life and your work world, but I think it's good for your mind.
Yeah. Hard work was always kind of a family value growing up. I mean, I just remember my chores were kind of ridiculous compared to some of my friends. They'd have to weed their little garden, and I'd have to spend 8 hours in the field cutting the grass, and, But no, I think that's true. Hard work. Even the girls, my sisters, they work hard, and Mom always worked hard. And
the whole family, everybody.
Yeah. And so, okay.
And nobody complains about it. It's just what we do.
It's just what it is.
Yeah.
Right. We've renovated some family homes. And that's usually.
And when you say we, you mean we.
The family.
Tilghmans.
Yeah, the family. Yeah, I remember Carly was pregnant. Carly was pregnant when we helped her with her house.
That's right.
And it was not helped her with her house. It was a full and disgusting gut renovation.
Yeah.
I mean, taking the chimney down from the roof all the way down. I remember Tara with the jackhammer covered in red brick dust.
Yeah.
And it's just, it doesn't feel like much of anything. It's just what had to be done, and it was a mountain to climb, and
we all chipped in to get it done.
Yeah, and we always have fun. We always had fun and found moments to make fun of each other or laugh, or mom has her certain things that she does that make us all laugh, and then you're a certain way with your lists, and and then obviously teasing Carly's husband Adam, who was new to the whole thing, which was extreme.
Yeah, he was really thrown into the fire.
Yeah, it's not light duty work, what we were doing. So anyway, that's great, and I like what you said about honesty and integrity, because I think honesty is one of our values here at the company, but when we stumbled upon our values, it really felt like, if you remember, our business coach was having us choose from a list.
We had a huge list.
And we kind of circled a bunch, and then it kind of like sat with it, and we weren't really sure what to do. And then at a team meeting, 3 words flew out of my mouth, and they kind of just stuck. And then it was like, that's it.
Yeah.
Honesty, accountability, and kindness. And honesty is one of those things that I didn't realize how important it was. And I didn't even realize that I was doing it. I just didn't want to have to prepare for anything.
Right.
So I'm like, I can just say the truth all the time, and then I never need to remember what I said.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah. And you know what? Looking back, yeah, you're right. You did instill that in me. And it's funny to grow up and, you become an adult, and then I think every person does this, where they look back and they think like, what shaped me? What, what are those things? Some things are good things and some things are bad things. And I think that's,
But they all have a part.
they all matter. Yeah. Yeah. They all matter. And they stick. So, anyway, that's awesome. So, let's see. So transitioning, it was back in 2020 that I kind of came in from the field. And that whole thing was years in the making. I mean, I'll kind of fill in the view,
But it happened. But it happened quickly.
Happened quickly. Yeah. I remember it was probably 2017. I was in a basement trimming out a door. And I was listening to podcasts about business and leadership and personal development and things. And I remember I left the job site. I said goodbye to the crew. I'll be back tomorrow. I went home. I cleaned my garage to clear my head. And then I called you and Mom and said, I think I might want to quit. I'm not fulfilled. I'm not, whatever. And it was an hour conversation, I remember. And it was a good one. And at the end, you basically said, why don't you take all that energy that you have to create your own business? Or I wanted to flip houses at the time. He said, why don't you come in and pour that energy into our business? And that gave me a bone to chase, basically.
And boy, did you chase it.
I did. I did. And so, I spent the next 2 years really just daydreaming about the time that I would get to come in here and make some changes. And I didn't know when it was going to happen, and it didn't matter because I spent a lot of time just visualizing it and learning, and I liked doing that. And then 2020 came, back orders, windows were long lead times, 20 some weeks, cabinets, same thing. And it was at that time I remember suggesting to you, hey, we're going to lose control of this ship if somebody's not in charge of these orders. And so that was kind of like my first step in the door in 2020. And so I came in as an operations manager was the title. And so, it started immediately kind of stirring up, opening cans of worms in here, immediately making changes. What did you feel at that time? Like, you had to have had an opinion at that time. I came in, I was naive. I didn't know what I didn't know, but also I thought I knew everything, so tell me how you felt.
Well, you did come in, headstrong, and that's great. But honestly, what I found was that you were, doing all these things that were out there that had to be done, right? And they either had to, prior to you coming into the office, they either had to be done by me or one of the lead carpenters. And I don't remember how many we had at that time. But a lot of times it was, the buck always stopped with me. So, I had to make sure that it got done. And it was a lot of pressure because I was doing all the other things in the business. I was doing all the selling, the estimating at the time, and also, all of the, admin stuff and running the business.
And marketing.
And marketing, yep. So, you wanting to take those things over was actually a relief for me,
Yeah.
So I welcomed it,
Yeah. Yeah. What, I remember, it was wasn't in the very beginning, but it was towards the beginning where, I'd started doing all of the hiring for the field crew.
Yep.
And, I was choosy when I could be, and we had a good team. And then there's, in any construction company and other companies, there's slow times, right? The winter, you dry up in the winter. It's a tale as old as time.
Right.
And typically you lay people off during those slow times. Those people collect unemployment, and just kind of is what it is. It's part of this industry. And then I made a suggestion, hey, how about we don't lay people off? That's like, culture is such a big thing. There's so many levels to it, and it can't be covered all in one podcast. But like, that's something, right? We don't fire our children. I don't get to sell the kid that's giving me the hardest time at that moment, right? Mm-hmm. We have to endure things as a family, and we have to lead and things like that. But what was your initial opinion of that? All right, we're not going to lay anybody off.
Well, initially, yeah, I had a negative opinion of it because it's all about the numbers, right?
Yeah.
And you've got to have the money to pay the people, and if there's no work, what are they going to be doing? They're just going to be standing around, or So yeah, it didn't sit well with me in the beginning.
Yeah, and now here we are. We haven't laid anybody off in. Well, there was a time before that. I think there was just a lucky streak of a couple years where we had work and didn't need to. Right. So, what are we going on? 7, 8 years? 8 years, no layoffs, something like that.
I'm sure that's about right. Yeah.
So anyway, I like that.
And by the way, I get it now.
Yeah.
And I completely agree, and I can see the value of it. I mean, it's all about trust.
Yeah.
And if your employees they're our family. They really are. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the Tilghman Builders family. And I feel like you do that, they're our family, our children, however you want to look at it. And it's our responsibility to make sure that they're taken care of. And taking care of them means that they're employed.
Yeah.
And that they have a good work experience.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I've noticed is when you make those tough decisions in a company, right, it's more profitable to lay people off. Well, I could argue that point, because I think that then you have to hire new, which costs money, and then you have to train, which costs money, and it's not easy to train people, especially complicated systems like in a business like ours. We don't make skateboards. We don't make T-shirts, right? That's I could probably cover those systems in a one-page document, right? This is a loaded industry, and so
every job is different.
Yeah,
every client's different.
Yeah, and so I think that one of the big things that makes our the members of our team love the company. One thing is they feel it. They feel that we're there for them, and every company in the world says we love our employees, but when they literally see you put your money where your mouth is and laying off is, they know when they're in this garage organizing the garage at the shop,
we have a hole in the schedule.
They should be at home collecting unemployment, and they're not. Right. And so I appreciate you coming around on that, and I've watched you come around on a lot of things over the years. Was there a moment in time where you realized that culture mattered just as much as craftsmanship? Like, was there anything in time that stuck out?
No, I probably can't pinpoint a specific time, but clearly I've come around, and I mean it's all about the culture, and I'm completely on board now. I don't know when it happened. It probably was very gradual, but craftsmanship has always been there, and like we say, craftsmanship is a given. We just assume that that's going to be the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And obviously we monitor it and make sure that it is. But the difference maker really is the culture, and I see it now. I'm your biggest advocate for the culture train.
Yeah. I know you are. I hear you talking about it, when we're out, with family or friends, I
I was
hear
just
you
talking about it last night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your cousin was over,
Yeah.
and we hadn't seen him for a while, and we were just talking about the business and how the culture and you working on the culture has really made the difference in the company and in the growth, the results,
What do you
the
think?
client experience.
Yeah. Well, and that's a big one.
That's the most important one.
Yeah. Because like I said earlier, we don't sell a t-shirt, right? You don't just walk in the Tilghman Builders store and walk out 5 minutes later with a shirt. It's a long and intimate and emotional transaction, right? We are in your personal space, and it's important to me that our homeowners feel like no negativity, like they just feel like people like being there, and they like each other, and they like the company that they work for, and all those kinds of things. What would you say is the what would you say is the most important result of having a healthy culture? Like why? Like who cares? Who cares if what do you see?
Well, I think for me, it's the fact that that your employees, by and large, are happy with where they're working. They like to go to work every day. That's not generally the case. I mean, in most, I don't know about most companies, but a lot of companies, people kind of dread going to work. And they can't wait for the weekend or can't wait for the day to be over. And I feel like the sense I'm getting from the guys in the field and the people here in the office is that they really like their job and they like working for this particular company. They like each other. And that's important.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that I've noticed over the years, because in 2020, we didn't really have a culture. Like I wanted one, and I was working towards that, but it wasn't there. We had some bad eggs, and
just bad culture fits.
Yeah, we had to, because hiring was tough back then, and it was just a part of that time, right? And the industry that we're in is so complicated. We're changing systems all the time, right? Like we just changed one 10 minutes before we started this podcast here.
We did?
We did. And so changing systems, like it happens a lot. And it temporarily makes everybody's job harder because they have to remember to do a new thing. And in some cases, systems are pushed back against, right? It's like there's resistance. From now on, every time anybody installs a door, we're going to take a picture of it with company cam, right? Like that's inconvenient. But what I've noticed through having a healthy company culture is kind of like buy-in, right?
People are accepting it much easier now. Yeah. I see it too.
Yeah, and like it's not an easy industry, and so I've noticed that our team members are more willing to do the thing because it benefits the team that they love, the team that they don't want anything to happen to. Right? I kind of see it as like the guys protect the culture and the team in such a way that it's like, no, I love my life now on this team. And I'm not going to let anybody mess that up for me.
Yeah, I hear you. Now, you mentioned earlier that, back, 5 years ago, it was, harder to hire people, right? And we took what we could get at the time.
Yeah.
Do you feel it's still hard to hire people?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. I think, well, first off, the building's beautiful. The team, when a new hire comes into the office, they're greeted by... There's 10 friendly faces in this office. But the other thing is, people can smell sincerity, and you don't have to kind of get me going for too long about culture and about how much I love the team and all that before you realize that, maybe I'm off my rocker, but I mean it, and I'm dead serious, and I have been for a while. And so I think that in our industry, guys are beat down. They're beat down. That there's so many companies where they just maybe they don't have enough time, but they don't handle their employees with care. And
Right.
I think that when they come here, it's refreshing. I think that's why.
We make it a priority.
100%.
Taking care of our people.
100%. Yeah. And I can't unsee it. So we've basically 5x'd the business since 2020.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a lot of growth. It's a short amount of time. I believe that it's all because of company culture. There's a lot of things along the way, but company culture, and we build houses, but that's the foundation, right? Like to put in all this work and all these systems and try to make happy clients and all this stuff, but to build it on top of wet, sloppy soil is a mistake.
It wouldn't work.
And so I feel like company culture really is our foundation. It's not everything, but it is at the bottom. It is the base.
Yeah.
And and so what new strengths, what new culture strengths do you see, if any, today that you didn't see, I don't know, back in 2020? Like, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, like probably most of them. For instance, one thing is like when we hire a new person, obviously they're vetted by you and or JP or whoever's doing the hiring, and they get background checked and drug screening and all that stuff, and they pass with flying colors. Sometimes they'll get in the field and turns out that they're not the fit that we thought they were, right?
Yeah.
But fortunately, we have such a good culture and we can really trust our people that they now vet them. So it's kind of like a trial period. For that first week, we look for feedback from the field guys. And if there's a problem, if they're not a good fit, they're gone. We don't hang on to them. If they're not a good culture fit, we're not going to keep them.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. I wasn't sure what you were going to say there, but you're on the money. There's not one person here that doesn't love and appreciate this company, this culture, this team.
Right.
And they want to keep it that way.
Yeah.
And that really is the mission, right? The mission is to provide homeowners with worry-free and pleasant experience while renovating their home.
But this is how we do that.
This is how we do that. Yeah, 100%.
I never saw this 6 years ago.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There is a level of you got to have faith and trust, and there's a lot that goes into it. But that's great. So what advice would you give another remodeler who wants to, better yet, what advice would you specifically give to a founder, right? Maybe they're looking to pass their company on to second generation. I actually just, I'm having a water softener installed at my house. And a guy comes out and looks at it. Really nice guy. And then I heard from the admin later on to schedule the installation. And I complimented the guy. I said he was a really nice guy and he was helpful and stuff. And she said, yeah, that's the owner's son. Mm-hmm. And he was younger than me. And I could tell that he wasn't quite there yet. He wasn't entirely involved quite yet. But there's a lot of businesses out there where we were at one point, where dad started the company, the son is, coming up. And what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I guess the best advice I could give them, if they have a kid in the business, is to just instill those types of values. If your family member that's in the business is going to work hard, and they're going to be honest and accountable. And, you're going to have to help them along with that because they may not be, all the time or in the beginning or whatever, but help them get to that point. I think that's probably the best way to get things moving in the right direction. And the other thing I would say too is sometimes people don't have a family member in the business. If they don't, I would say identify a key employee that you can see would have the interest and the drive and the desire to carry on that business, and just groom that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good advice. And what would you say? Because, you know, I mean, it was a slow progression where all of a sudden I kind of was ready to become more part of the business and more, you know, in the office and things like that. So what advice would you give to a founder who their child is, they're hungry, they got some wacky ideas, not sure how to handle them. You know, I've been doing this for 40 years. You don't even know what you don't know, right? Like I've never been in those shoes, not yet. But you have. So what, any advice for?
Yeah, I mean, I think the advice is to just, be open-minded, because what you have to realize is that, you've been in it for 40 years, and yeah, you might be a little bit of a dinosaur. There's things that, because you're older, you may not see them, and somebody from the generation, a younger generation from you is going to have some newer ideas, and think about it. I mean, every business, goes through this whole thing where they're just growing, but they can't do that if they don't introduce new technologies, new ideas, and those kinds of things. So I think that's really what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah. When I look back at some of the many changes that we made over the years, they all seem to come at just the right time, and that's something worth noting, It
doesn't happen by accident. It just happens.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think Steve Jobs was famous for saying, it's hard to connect the dots looking forward, but it's always so easy to connect them looking back.
Sure is.
So I think, and I'm just a big advocate for, getting the ship out of the dock. We don't know, we could put this all on a spreadsheet and figure out 3 months from now where we're going to be and what, but it's this big chess game. It's like,
that would have been my way of doing things.
Sure.
But you and I are different that way.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. I like to kind of just jump, and that can come, that can be a bad thing, too, and so I think that the way that the company is structured now is there's checks and balances, right? Like there's so many personalities in this office. Yeah. Some like to move fast like me, and others like to move slower and more methodically.
Yep. Some are more, analytical.
Yeah.
And all those different minds in here, I think, really help to shape and grow our business.
Yeah. So what, looking at the company today, right? We have I think we're pushing 40 employees.
Yeah, high 30s.
There's a lot of people part of this mission. And for the viewers, the vision here is we think that we have an unbelievable business model. And we talked about this at the team meeting. It's almost silly, right? What's the business model? Hire great people and be good to them, no matter what, and be honest with them. Honest feedback. Like it's
good
not
and bad.
Yeah, the good and the bad. But really caring about them as if they were your family or your children, right? I always take leadership, and it's so easy to compare that to fatherhood because. And what a great topic that is, because you're my dad. But it's just you have to. You can't give up on people. Like you have to figure out a way. Like if one of your children is struggling with something, well,
you're always going to be there for them.
Yeah, and you gotta get creative, and you have no choice.
Yeah, and we have with our employees.
Yeah,
I mean. People have problems sometimes and troubles or whatever, and we try to help them. We work with them to get them through whatever they're going through, and it's worked out well.
Yeah, yeah. So what makes you most proud? I mean, looking at the company today, what is the thing that makes you most proud?
I guess I guess the fact that we continue to do really great work. And the fact that we're doing it with such terrific people, I mean, I love the people that work in this company. They really do feel like family.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like in some ways, this was kind of built for selfish reasons. Like I literally just wanted to have a nice life and be surrounded by nice people. Like that's like a big part of this,
Yeah.
you know. And
if we could also provide an income and careers for a bunch of
helpful.
people and terrific projects for the community, then all the better, right?
What do you hope for future generations? You know, this doesn't stop here, right? This is now a legacy business. It just is. It's going to continue to grow and improve and expand. And the reason is because like I said, we think we have a wonderful business model that is good for employees and therefore great for clients.
Yeah.
And the world needs it, you know. That's our vision. So as this goes, right? Maybe my sons or my daughter take things over. Like, what do you hope to see continue? What?
The name.
The name.
The company name.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, craftsmanship is still in place. That's key. And just the whole idea of this nice culture, nice family that we have here. I'd like to see that continue regardless of how big we get.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's something that me and JP talk about often.
Yeah.
Because when I passed he's responsible for a lot of the culture things.
And JP
today.
is our operations manager.
Right. Yep. And he's responsible for the culture in many ways, more so than I am these days. And that was something I was nervous about when I handed that off to him. Turns out he is better at it in many ways than I am. You know, he gives better feedback. We have better carpenters.
I just complimented him today because I heard some great feedback about one of our employees. And I said, JP, this is all you.
Yeah.
Nice job.
100%.
He's doing a terrific job with our people.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
it's good for them. I mean, they're growing and becoming better, making more money. You know, it's a win-win. Really is.
Yeah, it is. But as we grow, as we continue to, grow and expand the company, eventually systematizing culture is kind of the next hurdle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of things between now and then, but eventually that has to happen where we actually systematize this culture. And we have a requirement for who is put in leadership positions that are centered around the culture or in the center of the culture, where they have to meet a certain criteria, type of person, So, all right, cool. So Tilghman Builders, the name, I was just thinking of that recently, actually. And it's funny that that's important to you, because I think that that's really important to me too. That we, and I thought, like, boy, if there was a global company, right? Some awesome, great global company, like if Starbucks, I don't know what it was called when it first started. Maybe it was, John's Coffee. Like, John's Coffee can make it. It doesn't matter the name,
right? True.
It matters the product. All right. Well, this was an awesome first episode. This was a lot of.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Going down memory lane. It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not often that you and I get to sit in the office by ourselves and talk shop. And so, well, anyway, thanks, Dad. And I love you.
I love you too, son.
So everyone, thank you for staying tuned. As always, stay positive, be nice, and step out of your comfort zone.